Does Joseph W. Brady find very many positive signs in the direction our economy is heading? It may surprise you despite the government continuing to pay workers to stay at home and fast rising inflation, there are good news factors to report.
Terry, there's really good news. I think that the bigger issue now, I was terrible in college. I was a business major, and I was terrible on the supply demand side. But I understood one thing. If the price of beer went on up and the supply were lower and the price went up, there was an M1 and M2 issue, the axis. Okay, so I always kind of remembered economics based on, I was a big Coors drinker back in college. So we have a phenomenon now that we haven't seen since the days of Jimmy Carter and when Ronald Reagan came in office. So I graduated in 1979. I was more concerned about my paycheck than I was worried about this word inflation. But if we remember from 1979 through 81 and 82, we had double-digit inflation that had a severe impact on the country. One thing I don't think that the Biden administration is putting out, nor is the media putting out, and I think the media is doing a huge disservice to people by not telling the Americans we have a supply chain problem. But it talks about weekly about the real amount of boxes that are coming on over here and the problems that they're having and the problems that China had when they shut down. So you take China having shut down through COVID, and we can debate all day long where COVID came from, and then you can talk about all those distribution centers that we have in areas like Atlanta and Ontario and throughout the country. And so people during COVID were sitting at home not working, and what were they doing? They were buying things. So they were buying that new refrigerator. So that refrigerator came from the warehouse, and the warehouse was not backfilling it because nobody was making it. Okay, so that's now where the supply chain issue is. As I've talked to people in the appliance business, they have said that the increase in warranty claims have gone up because what happened was when all the factories shut down, whether they were domestic or overseas, they stopped. So workers went on home. So they took off 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, okay? They came on back and they didn't have the same skills. Okay, so you're saying, Joe, please go rebuild that refrigerator again. And my skills maybe were not as good as they were. And so an error is made, and so it's shipped out, and an error is made. So what's happening is these companies are being impacted. We have another home in Spring Valley Lake that has an indoor spa room. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we need to get it serviced. So we called the company that used to service it, and they said they couldn't take us they had no idea when they could get a hold of us. So I called a friend of mine in the pool business up here, and I said, tell me about this. And he said to me, Joe, we are the largest distributor of spas for this company in the country, and they're based here in the high desert, okay, the Mojave River Valley. That's pretty cool, okay? He said, bad news. He said, I was just notified by the company last week, no more orders will be processed for the next year while we are now building our inventory. So when you see this supply chain and you see inflation, you see the fact, Terry, that on the day that Biden became president, gas at Costco, where I buy all my gas, okay, I buy it in Nevada, Arizona, California, and all the Costcos, was $2.85. Today it's $3.65. That means it's up 80 cents a gallon. So you take that little 80 cents a gallon, which is to some people may not be a whole lot. I think it's a lot. It's only 28%. So I don't think it's something that the Biden administration should be bragging about. That's 28%. We have 90,000 people that used to commute prior to COVID. Let's say we only have 70,000. Let's assume that we have 40,000. We have 70,000 people driving a day their car, and they go 40 miles each way. That's 80 miles round trip. They do it 5 days a week. Do you know that in a given day, our commuters generate 5.6 million miles? If they get 20 miles a gallon, so go do the math, I've done it a couple times. They get 20 miles a gallon, they work 50 weeks out of the year. That 80-cent increase in a gallon of gas at Costco is going to cost them $800 a year, $16 a week. Well, the Biden administration and Kamala might say, oh, that's not a lot. Well, Kamala's rich. These guys, they don't quite get it, okay? But to a person living in the high desert of Mojave River Valley region, and the reason that they're living up here is because $800 is $800. We're paying people to stay at home. So you add that to the inflation we're seeing and the fact that we're not producing what we can. Lumber's gone up triple in the last year. Triple. Okay. There's a real shortage of some materials. Steel. I mean, steel's a huge commodity. Wood is a huge commodity. So is it having an impact? I think the other challenge, I was over at one of our major electronics stores recently. I wanted a particular TV model, and the guy said to me, he goes, "You won't get that for 6 months." And I thought, okay, so do I settle for that other brand and just accept it, or do I wait for that particular model because I want to have that particular model? So I think that, while the economy's doing great, I mean, as I said the last time we talked, I'm getting more calls from industrial developers than we ever had. We're getting more calls from residential developers. I had a call today from a guy, his name's Bobby, he's out of West LA. Was a custom home builder, did kind of some big time stuff. He said, "Joe, I want to come up there. I've already bought 60 lots. I want to buy some more 5 and 10 acre parcels in the city of Victorville and Atlanta. I want to become a part of the home building community up there." He goes, "I can see where people are going to be moving up there." So the economy's doing well. I think what we need to do, I really think what the Biden administration needs to do is say to the 7 million people that are sitting on the sidelines that we're paying to stay at home. I mean, I just heard the other day that they're going to give a child tax credit. That's great through COVID. But they're talking about making this a 10-year tax credit. And one of the opponents to the legislation said, so now we're going to say to another group of people, stay at home. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know if people realize that China wants to crush us. India wants to crush us. These are competitive economies. Recently I read, and I didn't read it once, I probably read it 4 or 5 times, that President Xi, wanted to absolutely control the internet in 2017. He said to his Chinese leaders, "We want to control the internet." Look what just happened to the Colonial Pipeline. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if we have 7 million able-bodied people sitting at home, and we have countries like China that want to kick our living, what? Okay, why? More money is what? More power. I mean, we are the United States of America. So be patient, enjoy it. Housing prices are just going through the roof. I don't really see any major end in sight up here. I do believe that interest rates will move up a little bit by the end of the year. We've been told by up to probably a half a point, I think, by the end of the year. That's still not going to stop people from buying. I mean, the economy is great. I think it's going to continue. And I see some great things. But I think the inflation thing is the thing that scares me the most, because it really erodes your dollar. And people, they keep passing on that price increase. And then employers say, "I need more money. I need another raise." So what does the employer do? The employer gives them another raise, okay, and they raise the price. Okay, it just goes round and round and round. So whether you're independent, Democrat, Republican, socialistic, libertarian, whatever you are, really encourage your congressmen, your state senators. We have a great congressman here in Jay Obernold, just a great one. We have a terrible senator in Feinstein. We need to be able to say we need to get our control over our monetary policy, because if it gets out of control, we're all going to pay a price for it. I mean, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is, where you go to church, what kind of car you drive, your house. Everybody will pay for this deal. So.